and work it,
ladies.
lady. Yeah, that's how you work it, lady.
How are you?
It's never no or maybe. This is how you get it, baby. Work,
Work,
work.
work. Okay, ladies. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. This is going to be a topic that is heavy hitting. We are going to cover a lot of information today, but I'm gonna keep it fun and lighthearted. There are gonna be some times when I'll get, a little bit more serious, some personal shares, of different ones that I known and everything. So I definitely want to present that, in a way that is appropriate. But some of this we're just gonna have fun with because it's just so crazy. Sometimes when stuff is so heavy, all you can do is be lighthearted about it, make a joke about it, make it funny, make it just, and we want to retain this information too. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about 3 new reasons, girl, to avoid promiscuity. Okay. So we all know, right? Like, hey, you shouldn't have too many partners, you got to make sure you keep up with your sexual health, all these things. We all, we're raised with morals and how to be, appropriate, proper ladies and women, of course, right? But with that said, we're living in different times and some of those things have kind of gone by the wayside. People, don't feel that way in general anymore, but I feel that that is changing due to some of the information that we are going to go over now. I'm hoping that, some of this information that is not just my information, this is stuff I'm going to be sharing from other places, really wakes people up about promiscuity and how you should really not be super promiscuous like that. I mean, the one night stands and the drive-bys and it just, yuck. It's just not, right now we're living in a time when all this stuff is glamorized, but nobody's showing you the long-term effects of a promiscuous lifestyle. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So, girl, let's get into some of this new stuff that is going on because y'all already know I skeeve. I had a hard time with COVID. Like I don't like all the diseases and the germy stuff. So, we're dealing with some stuff today that's like that. This is information that we need to go over, okay? So if you're watching on YouTube, I do have some, visual things to share so you could pop over there as well, okay? So first of all, we got new STDs and STIs, guys. And some of them are very aggressive. They're aggressive. All right. So we got to be on the watch out for that. I'm going to read a little excerpt here from NBCnews.com. This was an article that is a bit older. This was published back in 2016, and I'll say anywhere between 2012, 2016, and now 2020, after the pandemic, we're seeing even more surge in STDs, more STIs, new strands of things that we've never seen before, as well as resurgence of old STDs. Like gonorrhea, they call that one's been around for a while. There's resurgence of that. Also syphilis. That was almost eradicated, guys. Like, and now that is on the rise. So that is what's going on. Okay, so this is, another reason not to be super promiscuous and have multiple partners because the more partners you have, the more likely you're going to get this. But unfortunately, there are times when that one partner that you choose, you still end up getting something, So, and I'm going to share some things about that of some different individuals. Okay, but anyway, so getting back to this article, this is 3 common STDs becoming untreatable. How worried should we be? In the United States, drug resistant gonorrhea is a public problem of national concern. Okay. So anyway, it says gonorrhea has developed the strongest resistance to drugs, but the worries about untreatable syphilis and chlamydia come at a time when rates for the 3 STDs are rising rapidly in the US, especially among young people among age 20 to 24. And this is sad because this is kind of when you first start having sex So this is going to be with these individuals for the rest of their lives. It's going to affect their overall health because these are infections and viruses. And those do have long-term effects and can even increase your risk of getting cancer later, and often do lead to cancers. So you have to be careful with this stuff. You know, a lot of people, oh girl, it's just a little chlamydia, a little gonorrhea. Go to the doctor, they give you something for that, and you good. No, you're not. You're gonna be good for a while, but there is a risk, 20 years later, you could have a form of cancer from that. So it is a problem. Okay. So that one is a very good article. I do appreciate the article. Also mentions here STDs are hidden epidemics of enormous health and economic consequences in the United States, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. In the US, STDs are most frequent among college age women, the highest prevalence being among women from age 20 to 24. So I'm talking to all of us today, but I especially want to draw this in real hard for our younger listeners and watchers here of the podcast. Girls, if you are age 12 and up, key in on this information because you are already at that age where people are going to start coming at you sexually, and you may be, have some questions about it or be interested in having sex. And this is some reasons for you to listen to your parents and listen to the things that you've learned, and be cautious. Okay. And again, condoms are great, but a lot of this is just skin to skin contact. Even if you're wearing a condom, you're still going to get some of these, you know. It's a big problem. HPV and herpes, especially skin to skin contact, you know. The condoms really are going to be most effective against HIV because that lives, specifically in the uh sexual secretions, sperm and our vaginal secretions and things like that. So the condoms are good defense against that, but HPV, gonorrhea, and all this other stuff is skin contact. So, you can't just like, oh, I had on a condom, I'm good. You're not. You're not. All right. This is serious stuff. This is serious stuff. Okay. So that was a great article. Now let's talk about uh HPV. So we talked about some of the old ones. Let's recap. We talked about, the resurgence of some of these older ones. Before we do that though, hold up. Let me get into let's get this newer one up here. Bear with me a minute. Where did that go? We're gonna get into some very interesting stuff today. Okay, where is that one that I wanted? Y'all bear with me, guys. Okay. We talked about drug resistant gonorrhea, all of these things. Okay. Oh, man. Okay. Here we go. Here's the new STD. All right. Now there's the earliest ones that I found of this particular STD, the earliest research studies or published information is 2018. And this is from the website muskhealth.org. And it is talking about an STD called MG, is a new kid on the block, and the name is Mycoplasma genitalium. Okay, it is a superbug. Now let's talk about it. Okay, so this is a sexually transmitted disease, which reports say could become the next superbug. It's showing up in low county areas across the U.S., according to obstetricians and gynecologists, as well as nationally recognized experts. It's a superbug because it's bacterium that lacks a cell wall, which makes it resistant to penicillin and similar agents. Okay. It can be treated with other antibiotics such as asthromycin, but it is a superbug. And when it comes to virulence, the disease is associated with what appears to be on the milder side, if you get a virulent strand. So, It goes on to say that MG seems to be more common than gonorrhea, but less common than chlamydia, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. Um, this professor, excuse me, Soper from the College of Medicine at the Medical University of South Carolina says both men and women can, of course, have this. Symptoms include urethral discharge, some burning with urination, vaginal discharge, and mild lower abdominal pain. It's a sexually transmitted infection requiring genital to genital contact. Okay, so again, genital to genital. Most back in the day, our parents' generation, you really had to fully, you know what I'm saying, do to do. Like, all of the fluids had to be, introduced to each other to get, some of the diseases. Okay. But this again is another one like HPV, skin to skin contact, skin to skin. Okay. Some people don't have symptoms at all. They don't even know they have it until it causes other problems like pelvic inflammatory disease, which can lead to infertility. Okay. It is on the medical, providers radar, um, and it can show up, like other similar STDs. Sometimes they may even think it's something else, but then, after further testing, they can develop that, see that this is something different. Okay. Um, Now, this is one particular one, that, of course, anyone can get anything. Um, this may also be similar to one of the newer strands that was going around. It's kind of began in the homosexual community, and it was kind of like a super bug bacterial infection that actually came um kind of it has like some sort of correlation with fecal matter. So, but this is something different. But anyway, you could do more research on that on your own. But all of that's floating around with everybody. You know what I mean? So you just have to be careful. But I did want to talk about this new one. They're calling it MG. It is the new kid on the block, and it is on the rise. There are newer articles about MG that you can find online. So I would encourage you to do that. And just be careful. I mean, it's not um, anything to really play with. Okay, this is serious stuff. Now, on the topic of HPV, and again, we're still talking about the first part. We're still on number one as to reasons why you should, avoid being super promiscuous. We talked about, a lot of these things now are, drug resistant. Some of them, a lot of them are still treatable with drugs. But here's the thing about viruses and infections. Infections are one thing. They're going to, in some ways, be less severe than a virus, obviously. But the thing is with viruses is that for them to survive, they have to kind of adapt. So as they go from person to person, they've got all that genetic information stored inside of them from all the other people that that particular virus has infected. And each time it changes when it goes to the next person. So sometimes it gets smarter and better at surviving, infecting tissue and attaching to organs and things like that. So it becomes stronger. And so then sometimes our medications won't work, or you have to try different ones or increase the dosage, things like that. So again, just information to be aware of. Okay. Um, Let me just make sure here. Now, a lot of these symptoms, in my line of work, working with women, working in the entertainment industry behind the scenes, doing hair and makeup, I got to meet hundreds and hundreds of hundreds of women, and you hear their stories and you talk, and I value that so much because even something as sensitive as sexual health, I've had conversations with women that I didn't even know. As a hairstylist and makeup artist, people will confide in you. They will just come in and just drop bombs. You like, man, I was just here, girl, to flat iron your hair. I ain't even need all that today. Okay, but you're just like, you know what? If this person needs a listening ear, I don't mind. And I will say this, an individual that I did have in my chair before did share that, the gonorrhea was had a lot of depilate I can't talk, crippling pain associated with it. With the gonorrhea, you're going to have a lot of vaginal discharge, and a lot of these, gonorrhea, syphilis, all of those, you're going to know 100% something is off. Even herpes, you're going to have visible signs, bumps and things like that. But she did share that it was just like an alarming rate of green fluid, just coming out. And, as a woman, I have to go through something like that. You know what I mean? As a woman, to have to experience that, how traumatic, how stressful. I mean, she was so stressed out and she just like, I wish I never slept with this guy. And, just horrible, just awful, just really, really sad. So, my heart goes out. It's just not easy, women is it's not easy being a woman, okay? Um Now, uh some of the other things though, like, well, let's stay on this part. Let's stay on the things that you can see. So another one that you're going to have visible signs that we touched on is herpes. Actually, I'll share you an interesting story on that. Um as a teenager, I had a friend that I knew for quite some time. We met each other when we were like maybe I'd say maybe 10, and we were friends up through our teenage years. And even a little bit farther beyond that, maybe early 20, yeah, something like that. And, she reached that age, where kids start to get into trouble. My mother put the fear in me, and I was about too afraid to do anything, but you get those little thoughts. You see these little guys, and you're like, oh, I don't know. Even though you're raised with your morals, having a Bible trained conscience and all of that, you still, though, kids are going to be curious. So I had this friend, all of a sudden, she kind of just, left, disappeared. Anyway, it was because, she had got this boyfriend and went off to live with him and all this stuff. It was just kind of bizarre and out of nowhere because it was just not something that was in our circle, our network of how we all acted, acceptable conduct. And so she kind of left him and got herself together and moved back home. When she came back, and this was over like a 6-month period. This was not like years, okay? This was like a 6-month thing. And she came back, and I was so happy she was back. I wasn't able to talk to her while she was away or anything like that. I was just giving her hugs and stuff. And I noticed her appearance was so different. And I was like, man, she always had this beautiful skin. I was the one with all the pimples and the horrible skin, the horrible teenage skin. And she always had this flawless, gorgeous skin. She was like a white girl, beautiful, blonde, brown hair with natural blonde highlights and this gorgeous skin and blue eyes. And so I could tell her appearance was different. First of all, concentrated in her mouth area, she had these enormous pustules, like pimples that were so large that it was just like, whoa. Like, I mean, these things were big, they were deep. It was super concentrated in one area, all around her mouth. It spread all the way out, like through her jawbone. And she just looked really bad, I hate to say it. And I was just like, man, I wonder what happened. So fast forward, we're hanging out, in the car, and then, she has her purse and she's got these enormous pills. I mean, them joints were like horse pills, okay? And I was just like, hey, are you okay? I see you have this medication, like you're broken out and stuff. Like, are you okay? She said, well, I ended up, having sex with this guy. She lost her virginity and everything. And he that was her first time, and he ended up giving her herpes. And so she was, like in a flare up then and just getting on meds and stuff like that. She probably wouldn't have even known she had it had she went back home, not gone back home because her mom probably saw her and was like, holy cow, and knew everything that she did. Like, we got to get you to a doctor. Because if not, she would have had it treated before and wouldn't have looked no different when I seen her, right? So yeah, I just felt really bad. I try to console her, and just, be there for her and everything. But here's how it went sinister. Okay. This is where the story turns dark. So she tells me that, and I'm all fine with it. But here's the thing. I had that summer, we had all gone to the pool and she's like, oh, y'all can wear my swimsuits. Okay, we're like 16 at this point. Ain't nobody sharing no bathing suits. My mama taught me you don't put your stuff on nobody else's stuff. Like, we're not sharing underwear, we're not sharing bikinis. I don't even do that now with my own children. You ain't sharing nothing with nobody. Anything that goes on your private parts is yours and yours alone. You ain't sharing that. So it was bizarre because we would always, like, as kids, we would wear each other's clothes. We were always at each other's house. We were very close. Okay. But we never shared underwear, and we would always go to the pool, and I never wore no bathing suit that she had. And it's not just she did that to me. She did it to our other friends too. Oh, come over and swim. I know you don't have a bathing suit. You could borrow one of mine. So now if you are an astute person, you understand what's going on here. This chick is trying to give us herpes, okay, by having us share her underwear bathing suit because she was angry, probably. She was mad. Think about that. And that's just one person. How many other people out there have that same attitude? Oh, I don't care. I'm pissed, whatever. You know, that's what she did. And it was not just with the bathing suits. So she did it that time. She asked me to wear her bathing suit. Then again, later in the summer, she was trying to get me in her bathing suit. Then we all go out and she's trying to get everybody to share her lip gloss. Oh, I got this new colored lip gloss. Why don't y'all share it with me? So my one friend didn't know what was going on with her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, girl, I want to try it, girl." She took that lip gloss from her. I backhanded it right out of her hand. I was like, "This is not happening." I didn't say anything. I just literally backhanded it out of her hand, and I was like, "Don't take that." This friend was a little younger than me, and I just felt super protective. But even if she was older than me, I would have still pimp handed it out of her hand because uh-uh. Okay, if I know and I'm sent so after that, that was the last straw for me. I told my mama and honey, I backed it up from that chick because I was like, you know what? Like, that is not cool. Like, that is really, really messed up. So again, this is a reason to not only protect your own sexual health, but also just in general. Sometimes with friends, if they have something and they're upset, they may try to give it to you. This is like all stuff that our grannies say. Girl, it's crazy folks out there, evil lurking girl. Don't you do that. And you just kind of like, oh, whatever. That's just granny. Nah, granny, right. People will try to do that. This is real stuff. Okay. So, like, why else would you be trying so hard? And again, multiple occasions. Multiple occasions. Okay. And so that brings me to the next thing that I wanted to share, about like, herpes and things like that. As far as another reason why you want to avoid promiscuity nowadays. I was on YouTube, and as I was, looking at different sources and things, to put together to do this podcast and present this information, and I see a woman on there and she's like, "Yeah, I had all these partners and I refused to tell them that I had herpes." She wasn't displaying any signs. She was on medication and she had sex with all these men and did not care. When I tell you that woman didn't have a shred of remorse, none, honey. She didn't care. She figured she got it from somebody. And people say nowadays, getting something is the cost of doing business. You want to have sex? Be prepared to get an STD. We all got them. That is what people's attitudes are. So that's another thing. If, for the young girls listening, you think you want to go out there and have sex with everybody or even one person that you not have done your due diligence, And by due diligence, I mean getting them tested before you have sex with them. Oh, yes, honey. Before you lay down with anybody, you better ask for that test and go with them to get it done. Okay? Because people out here are living foul and they do not care about messing you up. All right. And they will have no remorse. They'll say, this is everybody's got an STD. Everybody, whenever they call it like a rite of passage now. Oh, well, when you first start having sex, you're going to get something. You're going to get either gonorrhea one time, herpes, something. Big deal. It's to be expected. This is the prevailing ideas in the world right now. People are not tripping off of these diseases. They're not. So again, it's crazy. It's crazy. Now I'm gonna tell you another story about a young girl it was so sad. Okay. Like it was literally so sad. It was so sad. Basically, what happened was, and this is why when I'm talking about the HPV, there are some things we could do about some of these things nowadays. For example, HPV, there is a shot for that. Some of our parents didn't get the shots for us. That was a mistake. So if you have a young girl right now, do not give her the HPV shot because you think it will keep her from not being promiscuous if you don't get her the shot. After you hear this story, you will never make that decision. And shame on you and shame on those of our parents who did the same thing. Okay. And I don't care if you even let them listen to this podcast and let them hear me saying to them, shame on you, because it's shame on you. Because some of these things are just skin to skin contact. Some of these things are prevailing, right now. And like HPV, anyone can have that, even if you haven't even had sex. That's a human papilloma virus. So that's something that some people just have, but then you can get it from someone else sexually. So it's not even always something that, someone is doing something they're not supposed to do with getting HPV. So why wouldn't you take steps to prevent that from happening, regardless of what the person do? If the child decides they're going to have sex early, it's that's between them. Okay. Not that I'm advocating for that, but they will have those repercussions. They will have those consequences. But if there's a shot that can prevent a child from getting, or anyone from getting cancer later on, certain strands, why not do it? You know what I mean? And now with the HPV shot, this was just announced. I forgot what health outlet announced it, but I did take note of it about 2 months ago. It was announced that now they have moved the age up to get the HPV shot to age 45. So, honey, if you are 45 and under, you can still get it for free, covered by insurance. Even if you're married and in a monogamous relationship, skip on over there and get your HPV shot. Okay. So for those of us who did not get it younger, because some of the us that were even older than us, like older than me, it wasn't out yet, so you didn't get it. Or maybe your parents didn't get it for you, or maybe you just didn't know about whatever. If you didn't get it or you question that you got it, go get it now if you're under the age of 45, because this is the only vaccine that we have for cancers. Right now, they know that it is very good at preventing cervical cancers, and maybe some other things like that in the reproductive area that are reproductive cancers. Perhaps it may help with some of those others too. But again, it's the only vaccine that we have right now that can prevent cancers, reproductive. Now, it's not going to prevent, liver cancer and all these other things. We at this point, who knows? It may have other benefits we're just not aware of yet. Okay. So, again, other reasons to go ahead. If you're again under the age of 45, it is going to be covered by your insurance. Just say that you want the shot, and they should be able to give it to you without charging. A lot of doctors will say, hey, if you're in a monogamous relationship, you don't really need the HPV shot anymore, which is true. However, women's husbands be cheating. Okay. So why would you not get something, even if you are in a monogamous relationship? When you don't, I mean, we all have faith in our mates, and overall, probably they're not. If they say they're not, probably they're not, right? But again, you just don't know. So if there's something out there that can help you in that situation, go for it. Go for it. Okay. So anyway, and that HPV shot done been out about 20 years now, okay? So that thing is tried and true, yeah, go ahead and get with it. Now anyway, let's get into this story about the HPV. Now this might be one that I have shared in other podcasts, but this was a beautiful young girl that I met on set. She was a part of one of those foundations. I don't think it was a Make-A-Wish Foundation, but there's multiple foundations like that where if a young child is, not going to make it, they have an incurable disease, they are terminal, they will like, do something for them, that they can treasure, that they had this experience in their life. And so her name was Peyton, and I did her hair and makeup for a photo shoot. I didn't know any of this. I'm just sitting there doing her makeup, and she starts profusely sweating. She's not feeling good. She's shaking. I'm like, honey, are you okay? What's going on, girl? Are you all right? Then as I'm doing her makeup, I noticed that she has a port in, like when people are getting chemotherapy, they have a port line in, and it's usually in their upper right or left chest. I think it's a right, left. I can't remember, but it's usually up in the chest area. Okay. And so I'm going, I know what they are, and I'm like, wow, this girl might be going through cancer treatments. Like, man. So I said, hey, I see you have a port. Are you okay? And she said, I'm going through cancer treatments right now. I'm in remission. I got cancer, and she got the HPV cancer. Now, let me tell you her story. It's heartbreaking. As I was mentioning about, the some of the parents who specifically don't get this shot for their child because, they feel that it might make them not have sex because they know they don't have that protection. This is a case where you're gonna say, "Wow, okay." So her parents did not get the shot for those reasons, but she starts having sex and she's not telling them. She grew up in a very, and of course, there's nothing wrong, with being religious or anything like that, but that's what it was, and so she was too afraid. Just because we're religious, we're all, I love the Bible. That doesn't mean we can't talk to our kids about sex, and if our kids do have sex, they need to feel comfortable to come to us and tell us, you know? They have to feel comfortable because that's the only way we can help them, okay? So, but they were a bit extreme, and so, her parents were, and so, she was too afraid to go to them because it was like, oh my goodness. So she did not go to them. She was having sex. She got HPV, not knowing from whomever she had sex with. She did mention, that she was also doing some other things. I know she was on cigarettes and doing some other stuff. I don't know if she was doing heavy drugs or not. I don't know that. So I certainly am not quoting that. But she said, she was just living a life that was not, she was into a lot of things. Um, and then she said that she started getting really sick, just really weak all the time, abdominal pain, all these things. So they're taking her to the doctor. They're taking her all these kid specialists. This went on for multiple years. Now, I'm not going to say an exact number because I don't remember the exact number that she told me, but her story was published in some public articles online some years ago. I'm not sure if her family took it down when she passed away or not, but she did, and I read her whole story. Um, and so she said that she kept going to the doctor, and they're testing her for all these things. They're like, man, none of these tests, she had. They were thinking maybe she has leukemia, maybe she has this, maybe she has that, all these things. Until one day she went to a doctor that says, "Have you ever had a pelvic exam?" Oh, well, she's not sexually active, nope, not I'm not having sex. Are you having sex? Nope, not having sex. This is what she said. She constantly said no, she was not having sex, although she was. Okay, although she was. All right. So finally, this one doctor says, well, let's just do a pelvic exam anyway. Let's just do it anyway. So finally, they get on board with that. They do the pelvic exam. She said when the doctor opened her up, just went in and took a look. She just closed her legs and started sobbing because she knew it was too late. She could see the cancer already growing off of the cervix, on other parts of her insides. And so, she's like, what? She's like, we got to get you emergency treatment right now. So they started her on chemo and they did a very invasive surgery. Let me tell you what they did. 'cause then she started showing me her scars. They cut her all the way open. I wanna say it was, like, from her chest all the way down, because at this point, the cancer had attached itself to multiple organs, so they sliced off as much as they could get off of all of her organs. They only did that surgery on her because she was so young. I wanna say she was, like, 16, 17 by this point, and I wanna say she first had sex when she was, like, 13, okay? And, they're not gonna do that, for an older person, because they really know it's really no chance that even if they do it, that you're gonna survive, that it's just very risky, you could spread it more, but they were willing to try in this case because she was so young and it was just such a sad situation. So she had that surgery, she did survive that surgery, but again, even after multiple treatments with chemo and all of the things, she did die. She did not make it. And this is something that HPV has been around probably at least 200 years, I would guess. So women would get this and not even know. That's what actually happened to Henrietta Lacks. I have not done a full, like deep dive on Henrietta Lacks, but Henrietta Lacks is where we get our HeLa cells from. She was a Black woman who was diagnosed with cervical cancer, I want to say in the 50s, but what was so remarkable, what happened, although she did end up dying from cervical cancer, her cells never die. And so that is how we have HeLa cells that are used in different vaccines and different treatments. And they're still going off of this woman's cells all this years later. Even HeLa cells were used in part to develop the COVID-19 vaccine. Okay. So, but so with Henrietta's case, this was way back in the 50s. They were just starting to learn about HPV, but it was just like, okay, she got cancer, nothing we could do. There was no treatments for cervical cancer back then. There was no vaccine. Even now, if you get it caught early, cervical cancer is for the most part, a treatable cancer. They're able to, remove pieces of the lesions and all these things, treat the cervix, put things on it to stop the spread. There's a lot that can be done, but again, you got to be going for regular paps for that. So again, now if you're watching me on YouTube, I got, a picture of a doctor doing, about to do an exam. Do not skip your yearly annual exam. Okay. Don't skip it. Do not skip it. Okay. Even if you are in a monogamous relationship, do not skip your annual pelvic exam. Women, when I hear women come out their mouth with, oh, it's been 3, 5 years, or oh, I can't remember the last time I went to the gyno, girl, I take so many deep breaths. I'm huffing and puffing for them because I'm like, girl, you just don't know. You could go in there, spread them, and they tell you you're done, honey. You're done. And it's so sad because sexual health is one of the areas where we have a lot of control still with cancer. The other stuff, is so much on the inside. There's no way to see it until sometimes it's too late, or there's a visible growth on the outside, like breast cancer. Then you can feel a knot, and it's kind of progressing at that point. But with our sexual health, we can prevent a lot by not being promiscuous, being very good about getting testing, and being very good about getting our annual exams. Okay? You gotta do this stuff. You gotta do this stuff. So, honey, I'm in a monogamous relationship, but I go for my pelvic every year. And when I go in there, I tell her, girl, you take this flashlight that you got on the end of this table and you shove it so far up there. I want you to look in so far up there. Okay. All up in there, girl. All up in there. Because this is something that, if caught early, a lot of it is treatable, okay? So this is something that we really have to key in on. If you are afraid to go to the gyno, get over it, honey. I'm giving you some tough love today. Get over it. Get to the gyno and don't skip. That is one thing, even if you don't have insurance. That's a lot of the things like Medicare, Medicaid, all that's covered. They got you. Go take advantage of those services, okay? Boy, I tell you what, this stuff is so heavy in here. Let me take a swig of water before I pass out. You just hate to see it, you hate to see and you fear, it's just a lie, some of this stuff, HPV in my mind anyway, and this is not scientifically proven, don't quote me, but I just feel like, it's you could be in a nasty bathroom, or a porta potty or something, and HPV is on there. Somebody touches their private area to go pee. That's how the men transport, they're touching stuff, then they gotta touch their private area to go pee, then next, the private area is in you, and then now here you got. So I also get your husband vaccinated. If he's under the age of 45, tell him to go get the shot. Go get it. You know what I'm saying? I can't. I just cannot. I hate all this stuff. I don't like all the diseases and all this. It's just a shame. It is just a shame. Okay. Now let's talk about the number two thing. So recap. I want to make sure y'all with me now. We done covered a lot. So the first reason you want to not be promiscuous is all these new STDs, STIs, and all these resurgences of the old STDs. We didn't even touch on HIV. Now people are like, feeling nonchalant about HIV. Oh, they got a pill that can make you undetectable. Yeah, but you still got it. And even though it's undetectable, it has still done cellular damage to your body. It has still put you in a position where later on you may develop more health problems, including cancer, because your body, when you have a virus, it is constantly fighting to keep it down, to keep it from infecting you, or affecting you, I should say. Okay. But then over time, those defenses just aren't as good, once you start to age. So, then that's when you see these other problems come out. So don't be fooled by what people are saying and all of that, with the HIV or any of this stuff. It is a big deal, okay? So that's what the main of it with that. We got the resurgences of the old, we got the new STDs, and we've got these, there's some of the stories that I shared with you of how bad it could be. Now, this isn't, everybody's story, but again, these are some of the extreme cases of things that can happen. My heart goes out to, again, I mentioned Peyton, the individual's family. It's just a sad situation, and I just wish them well, wish them the best, and just my heart does go out because that's a family that lost a daughter, and then again, she could have even infected other people before she knew she had it, the poor thing. These are young kids, they're not aware. And why, even if you do it, should anybody get a death sentence from having sex? I mean, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? For crying out loud. That is a tough consequence. That is like the ultimate price, paying with your life for something that is no one's fault. HPV wasn't her fault. You know what I mean? Like, just awful. Just awful. All right. So now let's move on to another reason that is, one that is, whew, this one has like some controversy to it going on right now. I remember this story kind of circulating. It kind of started back in 2012, and I'm even going to kind of reference the article where I think this idea came from. There might be some truth to this idea. I don't know if you've heard it. Did you know about this one? Again, another reason to be careful out there, girl. Let me get it up here on the screen. It's coming. This one right here. Male DNA from the sperm of multiple partners may mess you up, girl. What do I mean? So there was a share that came out. Let me see if I can get it pulled up here. Um, let's see here. Yes, okay. This is from the Fred Hutch Cancer Center, fredhutch.org. Again, fredhutch.org. Hitchison Center study finds male DNA in women's brains. So this was back, way back in October of 2012. And I remember this was like breaking news, man. Women were freaking out. Like, and again, I'm going to present you this article. I'm going to present you some more, and then I'm going to give you my 2 cents. Okay. So basically, what it says is male DNA is commonly found in the brains of women, most likely derived from prior pregnancy with a male fetus, according to first of its kind research conducted at the Hutchinson Center. The study findings were published, at the place it was published. Um, and the reason for that is that fetal cells crossing the human brain blood barrier. So basically, it said that the study found that the description of male mitochondrianism in the female human brain, the findings support the likelihood that fetal cells frequently cross the human blood brain barrier and that the mitochondrium in the brain is relatively common. Um, until this study, it wasn't known 100% if those cells did cross the blood-brain barrier. Okay. For this research, scientists examined the brain autopsy of specimens from 59 women who had died between the ages of 32 and 101, and male mitochondrium was detected in 63% of the subjects. Okay. Now, what they were saying in this article, which you can bring it up and read all of it, was that they were saying that in some conditions, they felt like these origins of cells could have contributed to breast cancer and things like that. But again, the research was inconclusive. Now, this articles, though, I feel, and this might not have been the only one. I'm just listing this one. There was a lot of studies by other, this was like the main place, but then other people, added what they added, different opinions, different research facilities who shared their thoughts. And people kind of took this article and turned it into, when you have sex with many males, their DNA stays with you forever and goes into your brain. Whoa. That is not what this article was talking about, and that's not what the original study was talking about. However, I will say this, because that is something, even now I still see that circling around on the internet where people are like, girl, don't you have sex with more than one person? Because that sperm stays in your brain, girl. It messes you up. There is truth to it. There's truth to it. Why do I say that? Okay, let me pull it up. Let's see here. We covered the gonorrhea, HPV. All right. This one is from kind of a hokey site. So but this is just what people are thinking right now. So this is February 2020. It says, "Is it true women retain the DNA of every man they've ever slept with in their bodies?" Okay, if you virtually spent any time on the interwebs and particularly lurked on social media areas of this marvel of human ingenuity, you'll no doubt uh, at one point or another come across the fact that many women have living male cells hanging out in their bodies, including their brains. The most common explanation, according to social media, is how these instances of mitochondrianism, remember the mitochondrianism from that other article back in 2012 that I just referenced, came to be is that the woman acquired these cells via making the beast with two backs with a man. There, I don't get what they're saying there. The claim often follows that given these cells and their replications have been shown to sometimes hang around for decades in women, that most women have the DNA of every male sexual partner they've ever had in their bodies. But is this actually true? Um, as with the vast majority of quick fact spreads around social media, there are elements of truth to it, but the part that makes the fact spread does not appear to be 100% true. Okay. Now, some of the disinfectant disease women's brain, and they quote in this article exactly what I read you from the other article and point to the fact that this is where that kind of thing that was going around social media may have started. However, we have a new article, well, newer, since the 2012 article that was actually on Time, how previous sexual partners affect offspring. Now, this one was interesting because it was actually a study that was done on like dog DNA. And basically what they found, it says here, cool or really disturbing. The implications of this study are that any mates a female has a female has had, excuse me, let me start again. It says cool or really disturbing. The implications of the study are that any mates a female has had may leave some legacy in the form of physical or other traits that are carried in semen, but not the DNA containing sperm that could show up in their future offspring with another mate. So basically, in short, this dog DNA that they examined, they found that all the sexual DNA that this particular female dog had sex with remained in her body indefinitely. But also, let's see, does it say indefinitely here on this one? No, I think this one said 10 years or more. Okay. But what they found was that the DNA of the other sexual partners that she did not even have a puppy with affected the fetus, the baby of the puppy that she did get pregnant by the dog by. I hope that made sense. Are you following me? So basically, this was a study with dogs. So again, dogs and humans are something totally different. But again, it says here, eager to learn how this was happening, Korean conducted a series of mating experiments with females. Now they're talking about flies with their eggs and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, basically it's saying that these eggs, these fetuses absorb these old DNA from old semen, and it has a bearing on the development of the fetus of the other impregnator, if that makes sense. So in human terms, which this is not a human test, it would be like if you had sex with your ex 10 years ago, his sperm hangs around in your uterus, okay? And when you go to have a baby with your new partner, that sperm from the old person affects the development of your baby with your new man. And there could be a 10-year gap. That's some freaky nasty stuff that I don't like very much. Like that's crazy. Okay? I don't like that. I don't think you like it either. That's crazy. So again, this was a dog experiment. For the most part, they did experiments on other things, but yeah, that was crazy. Now I'm gonna get onto this a little bit more because this whole topic here on point number two that we're talking about, another reason to avoid promiscuity, because we are retaining these males DNA in our body, plausibly. It has not been a 100 definitive yet, but there's a lot of evidence that could suggest that is the case. Here's another article. Now, this one is again, it's a .com. It's Medical News Today. And this is when was this article published? Let's share that. Oh, what in the blue blazes? Why wouldn't they put that where I could find it? Let's see here. Okay. This is also another 2012 article. Okay. Medicalnewstoday.com. Sex can cause genetic changes in a woman. Okay. Now it is just saying in this article basically that scientists are aware that a male passes on seminal fluid protein to their sexual partner while mating, impacting their feeding, sleep patterns, immunity, egg laying, sexual receptivity, and water balance. And this is according to Professor Tracy Chapman from UEA School of Biological Sciences. Okay, now let's see what else. He says, we tested here the effects of one enigmatic seminal fluid protein known as the sex peptide and found it to change the expression of a remarkable array of many genes in females, both across time and in different parts of the body. Now I'm gonna let you think about that for a little bit. According to this study, okay, seminal fluid is changing your eating, sleep patterns, immunity, egg laying, sexual receptivity, water balance, and I'm sure there's more that they just have not realized yet. So then you think about a woman who's out there having sex with multiple partners, you got a lot of genetic information being passed back and forth. Okay? And of course there has to be truth to this because let's take this for an example. Let's use another type of disease. Let's talk about COVID. So with COVID, when you get it and you just getting that through sneezing and stuff like that, coughing, sneezing, whatever, there is genetic information in there of other people. Now, you don't get all of that, but for the disease to infect you, it has to have some human information in it. All right. So you're getting that, and that's just COVID. That's why I don't even if somebody look funky, don't breathe in my area, honey. I will move in a minute. If you look half crazy and nasty, I will sure enough not share no air with you because I don't want that DNA, anything that you got. Okay. I don't want it. So if you see somebody that look a little off, girl, run to the other side. Don't share air with them. So that's just air sharing. And you're getting genetic material, gene stuff from people. Okay. Now, let's take it to something even deeper, sex. So you're getting a direct boom because, okay, let's talk about our vagina. So your vagina is soft tissue. Soft tissue is what is on the inside. And that's why we have to be so careful with our vaginas and who we let enter them and to test people before we let them enter us because your vagina is the only thing that is accessible that is basically the same kind of spongy consistency as your internals. Like, if you if you were, cut open for a surgery and stuff, you know how everything looks in there. It's soft, it's spongy, it's a totally different material. Everything else on the outside of us is skin. It's dermis. We have a dermis and epidermis that keeps stuff out. Our vagina is not made to keep anything out. It's made to absorb. It's made to absorb sperm. And it's amazing how it does that because, when you see sperm, if it's not in the vagina, it gets all hard, right? But in the vagina, it just disappears. Our body absorbs it. It's like a sponge. So that's why when it comes to something like having multiple sexual partners, you're absorbing whatever they got isn't going to be in their sperm. Okay? Just like breast milk or any other thing that's of that magnitude, a sexual reproductive thing, right? Our breast milk has a lot of genetic information in it. That's why it's so good at growing our babies. But sperm, on the other hand, is going to carry whatever else is in it that is a problem. Okay. That's how you get gonorrhea and HPV is genetic information that you got from that person. Okay. So things are definitely happening, but we're starting to understand how long these things can linger in the body and cause issues. Okay. So do you really want to have all these men's stuff up in you like that? All their seminal fluids messing up your immunity, your egg laying ability, your sexual reproductivity, your water balance. Is that what you really want? So for all the young girls listening and they watching influencers and they thinking it's cute to have one night stands, you know what I'm saying? And dropping it like it's hot and twerking on everything they can twerk on. It ain't a good look. I'm sorry. It's not appealing at all. That's a good way to mess up your life. For real. Okay? So keep this stuff in mind, guys. And even for us that, maybe you were married once, maybe the relationship didn't work out, you get a new partner, you get married again, whatever, you still have to be aware of this stuff. You know what I mean? Ask about their sexual background and don't just go by what they say. Do the testing. You got to do the testing. Okay. You just have to do the testing. All right. So this was the number 2 reason to avoid having multiple partners, is because you're getting a lot of genetic information, just like with other diseases that are going to affect your health. Sperm entering your body is absolutely going to affect your health. Now, does that sperm stay in your brain forever? We don't know, but it is entering you and it is going to go through course through your whole body. Okay. Just like anything else does. So understand that. All right. Understand that. Okay. All right, so let's move on to our number 3 thing. Number 3 reason that you better think twice before you go out there kicking it up and out for anybody. Okay? This right here, regret. We got a lot of stuff floating around in society right now. YOLO, you only live once. Live your life with no regrets. Ugh, all of that. It's a lie, honey. It's a lie. I'm telling you straight up. People have regrets. People regret the stuff that they have done when it affects them like this. It's not fun. It's not fair either. I'm sad that, we have that. I wish there was no diseases. We know that there's a time in the future, we have a bright hope, that one day this is all going to be a thing of the past, everything will be good. And we rejoice in that hope. But in the meantime, people be having regrets. Okay. The instances that I shared with you of the people I knew personally that shared with me and I saw what they went through, they had regrets. They had regrets. It's hard because it it's something that affects you so personally and so deeply because it's something that you did. And injustice is like, okay, something, I don't know, you're in a car accident and somebody runs a red light and hits you. You were in no fault at all. So yeah, you can feel bad a little bit. Oh man, I wish that person didn't hit me, but at the end of the day, it wasn't your fault. Some of this stuff, I'm not saying is ever a woman's fault if she gets a disease. You know what I mean? Things happen, it's nobody's fault. But at the same time, you may regret having intercourse with that person, especially if, you're just having the attitude of a casual view of sex. Hey, whatever, I'm young. This is what I'm supposed to be doing because this is what everyone's doing in college, or this is what everyone is doing as an influencer. This is what all the people I listen to, their music, this is what they're talking about. This is what my friends are talking about. That's regret. You don't want to regret living your life willy-nilly and not thinking about your future and then shortchange yourself out of a future. And sometimes things happen, some women are victims of sexual assault. That was not their fault. And yet they have to deal with these consequences. And it is heartbreaking. It is absolutely heartbreaking. Now, I will say, if you are ever a victim of sexual assault, what you need to do is go to the emergency room right away. They have what is called a rape kit there where they can collect the genetic information. They could take a sample and that information can be given to police to catch the person who assaulted you. And they can give you treatments right there and drugs, medications that can help you prevent getting a disease. Some diseases, if you catch them, if you get medication for them within that first 48 hours, you probably won't get it. So again, if you are a victim of sexual assault or you have sex with someone and you like, man, we did not do a test beforehand. We didn't do none of that. Immediately after you have sex, girl, hightail it to the emergency room. All you have to say is, I had sex with someone. I regret it. I want to take steps to prevent any type of issues. What can you give me? There's a lot that they could do. And then after that, stay up on your health as much as you can. Pound yourself with veggies, eat as many veggies as you can, drink water, get sleep and exercise. All of those things are going to help you fight off anything possible coming. Because sometimes it takes, there's some certain diseases like this sexually transmitted have like a little bit of an incubation period where, you might not start seeing symptoms till a week later, 2 weeks later. Some people never show symptoms initially, and then months later they show symptoms. Okay. So just the minute you have sex or the minute you are a victim of sexual assault, this is an option that you have. Go to the emergency room. Tell someone. Do not keep it to yourself. Even if you are someone who, maybe you had, you made a pact with your family, and it was understood, I want to wait until I'm married or whatever. Still, tell someone if you do it. Your parents are still going to be there for you. They are going to love you and give you the best help that they possibly can. Okay. So again, low self-esteem, and all of these things are a part of it. No one talks about the low self-esteem part, even for the women who don't get anything, but they still have multiple partners. If you have sex with someone and they get up and leave, and next day they don't call you, they don't text you, you never see them again, it's dehumanizing. You feel used, you feel like an object. You've been objectified. You've been taken advantage of, because it's very weird to me how you have these prevailing ideas out there where guys will say, hey, it was consensual, but they will basically lie to your face, say all this stuff for a week straight, 2 weeks straight, 6 months straight to get you to sleep with them. Then the minute you sleep with them, they up and about their business. And you come to find out, oh, they lying. They ain't doing nothing. They don't even have a job. They're not actually who I thought they were. They lied just to get you to have sex with them. And there's a lot of sexual aggression in society today. You see men acting out, doing all kinds of crazy things, sexually assaulting women. Why? Because they don't want to put in the work into a relationship. They just want the quick fix and be done because they're all hopped up on porn. That's another whole nother problem. Okay, so that is that we could go so deep on this, y'all. But this is something that I feel is really important for people to understand. Okay, this is very important. It's all of us, all of the ladies, and I love y'all here and our Working Lady podcast community, and especially our young girls, because I want to share any information with you that I have that's going to help you lead a better life. Okay. Now, let's talk about this. Something that people, kind of criminalize. They just make you feel stupid and dumb when you do this, Because again, right now, half of this society is backwards. What's good is bad, and what's bad is good half the time. But now people are starting to wake up and see, you know what? It's not worth it. A lot of women, I read a lot of forums online. They're like, man, I'm teaching my girls different. I'm teaching my girls not to have sex until they get their person, their future husband or whomever, a test. And this goes regardless of, even if you know this person, you might have grown up with this person your whole life. It don't matter. Whenever you are going to have sex, you both need to go for sexual testing. Okay, so if you are on YouTube right now, you see I got a picture of the couple up here. They're going for their sexual testing. Okay, do that. Now, people make you feel dumb though when you want to get a sexual test. That is something that I feel is common, like for people to make you feel stupid in certain subsects of American culture. I know in some of like even African culture or some of the different islands or even like Europe, it's more commonly accepted that hey, okay, we're going to start having sex, we're going to get married, whatever, we're going to do testing. People have expressed that. These are conversations I have with people. It's like a given. Oh yeah, we went for our sexual test. But for some reason here in some of our sub cultures here in the United States, it's like people looking at you like, oh, well, why you think I got something? Well, why don't you think I got something? You know what I mean? Like, why are you so nonchalant about this? Do you not read? Do you live under a rock? Are you mentally ill? Why would you be so like whatever about your own health? So that kind of tells you a lot right there. If you start getting pushback, ladies, especially you young ladies, from someone, they just pressuring you. Oh, we could just do it right now. It ain't no big deal. Well, I want to get a test first. Let's go together and get sex tested. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, you don't trust me. Why you want to do that? We don't have to do all that. Anytime you start hearing mess like that, girl, that is not the person for you. Do not lie down with that fool. And don't you be that fool. Don't, because women are doing it too. Women are giving men stuff and the men are giving women stuff, and half of them don't care. So don't you be that person either. But if someone is saying that to you, guess what? It's time to get up and leave. Okay, well, if you don't understand where I'm coming from on this, we ain't got nothing else to talk about. That's a relationship ender right there. I tell you one thing, I don't think so. Okay. So don't let people make you feel bad about this. People make people feel bad for wanting to do sexual testing. Why wouldn't you want to test for an STD? Lunacy. Don't let them make you feel crazy. They're the loon. Okay. All right. So again, take care of yourself, girls. Now let's talk about this. I got a couple more here. Okay, so we touched on the three main points, but here's something else that in today's society people criminalize. They go, "Oh, you ain't nobody. You ain't did this. You ain't did that." I'm dropping all kind. I'm gonna drop everything today on this. I'm going so heavy and hitting it so hard because it don't make no sense. It's a shame. Sorry, I can't get this one to come up. Come on, come on. My computer wants to freeze up a little bit here. I really want to share this one because some people do like to really watch these on YouTube. Well, where in the world? Here we go. This right here. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, I have just a little, share here of different couples, and I have an older couple in the middle. And we're going to assume that this older couple, they have only had sex with each other their whole lives. Okay? That can be a very beautiful thing. Not everybody gets to have that experience for one reason or another. Maybe you were a victim of sexual assault. Maybe, your first husband just was not cutting it and, you had grounds for divorce and then you met someone amazing. But regardless of the situation, it is a beautiful and powerful thing when two people can go a long distance relationship their whole lives and they have only been with each other sexually. Then we don't mind that their genetic information is being stored in our brains, so some people think, or may be plausible, that might be a possibility. We don't mind because this is someone we love and trust, and they're getting our genetic information too, and that's okay. Heck, that might be why as the couples get older, they start looking alike. You know what I'm saying? They're finishing each other's sentences. You know what I mean? That's a beautiful thing. But in today's society, especially, and then this was even when I was, a teenager. It's been like that for, a long time now. I mean, it was even like that in our parents' generation, where it was like, oh, you got to just get out there and have sex with as many people as you can. When you're young, yeah, that's what you do when you're young. No, it's not. And there are hundreds and hundreds of millions of people out there who feel the same way. But you're not going to see that broadcasted on mainstream. They're only highlighting the debauchery. That's what they're highlighting. And the over promiscuity and the hoe bag culture. Let's all be hoes. Let's all go out there in thongs and show our tails and grind on anything that's grinding. You know, disgusting. It's disgusting. It's not cute. This is beautiful. Look at these couples. We're going to assume now these folks, I don't know, they probably just paid models. You know what I'm saying? In these pictures. But let's just assume that these are couples that have committed to each other. They've done their due diligence. They are committed to each other. Now, here's what happens when you are in a committed relationship with your sex. When you're in a marriage, you have a lot more freedom to be sexually explorative with your partner. They making these one night stands look cute. They're not. You can't build deep intimacy on a one night stand. That's going to be some crummy wham bam, thank you ma'am sex that you're not going to feel good, walk away feeling good about. Some people may like it. You can become desensitized and enjoy that type of behavior. That's a whole nother topic. When your sexual introduction is like that, then you begin to crave that kind of sexual activity. I encourage all women, enter your sexual experience in a positive light. Enter it with grace. Enter it with beauty. Enter it with dignity. You feel me? Have some class. So when you go into this relationship, now you're in a committed relationship with your husband, and you guys can just explore each other's bodies. You can just really feel free. When these women and these men are going out here, they're nervous when they're having sex because they're like, ooh, does this person have something? Ooh, do they got something? It's so much anxiety. No one talks about that. But this is the kind of stuff that you hear when you're talking amongst women. Sometimes I was just a fly on the wall and I hear the women, they're talking to their friends. Oh, what'd you do with that one? Girl, I was scared. All this stuff going around. I didn't even want to do it. Oh, I was too nervous. Girl, as soon as he was done, I hosed myself off with some vinegar. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, because you don't know, because you don't know the person. So again, you're going to have empty feelings. The sex is not going to be as good. That's my personal opinion and what I have found with women who are in committed relationships. And there's lots of research you can do on that online as well. You're going to have a deeper connection, more intimacy, more arousal with someone that you love and trust. Not somebody you just met and you skeeving the whole time you doing it with them. Oh Lord, don't touch me too hard. Don't put it in too much. Who wants to go through that? You know what I mean? So, do your due diligence. At least you've done your part. So if anything goes wrong, down the road, at least you can feel good about you. Hey, I tried. I did what I was supposed to do. Even if your mate decides they're going to go out there and act a fool one day, at least you tried. So you can have a good conscience. You can sleep good at night. So again, being in a monogamous relationship is a beautiful thing. This is what the world criminalizes. Oh, you only had sex with one person? Or they even criminalize people who wait for marriage. You got to go out there. You can't wait for marriage. Why not? Why would I want to swap DNA with some disgusting person I don't know? It's bizarre. Listen to that. It's just bizarre. So again, don't be fooled. Don't let these crazy folks make you think what's bad is good and what's good is bad. This is a beautiful thing. You look at everybody's got older couples that they know and they've been together. They may be your grandparents and they've been together the whole time, loving each other, having sex with each other in a beautiful way. in a dignified way. And they avoiding a lot of these headaches. That could be you too, for all you young ones listening. Or even if you're not young, girl, whatever. Anybody can have some stability in this area. Ladies, I very much enjoyed this conversation with y'all. Y'all know I have nothing but love for you. And I appreciate every last one of y'all in my community. Okay? Y'all willing to sit up here and listen to me run my mouth for an hour and 20 minutes about some nasty stuff. I appreciate it, and I hope you find it helpful. I hope you share the information. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, please. That would be awesome. For me, I just like doing this. If I could grow, and get more information to more people, that would be awesome. But I'm happy with the community we have right now. So, if you feel so inclined to share, if this information, was great for you, share it with someone who you think can really benefit from it. I plan to share this particular episode with my little ones when they get just a titch older. This is great information for young girls. There's nothing shared here that's inappropriate that they can't hear. They're going to hear worse than that on this nasty internet. Okay. All right, ladies. Again, if you're not following me already, give me a follow on Instagram. It's at Work It Lady Podcast. I will see you next time. Bye bye.